And the only possible way is by presenting yourself. And LinkedIn is a great way to do it. It's kind of a business engine for your career. All the posts that I post are meant to either educate, entertain, or inspire. Put yourself out there because you need to let other people know what you're good at or what you could be possible to do good at.
Let's get it started from here. Hello, everyone. My name is Renata Ravilova. I'm the founder of Compostly, a ghostwriting agency that helps to get results from it. And we have our amazing guest today in our podcast, Mirko Minenza, founder of PlayHire. And it's a free learning platform for gaming industry peers who can learn from industry veterans and uplevel their skills. And today we are going to dive into the topic on how to grow your 5,000 people community from LinkedIn in 6 months. And just to mention, Mirko has 41,000 and even more followers on LinkedIn. So first of all, Mirko, one of the important questions to you is how long did it take you to build this following?
Well, so first off, Renata, thanks for the intro. I love the way you pronounce the Mirko Minenza Italian way. I love it, like purely embracing the culture. Well, I've been started posting on LinkedIn, I guess, a couple of years ago, around mid 2023, for two main reasons. The first one was because it was when basically in the gaming industry, which is the industry I work in and I was working before, started to having some problems in terms of employment. There were like starting to be a lot of layoff globally, and many talented people sadly lost their job, and it was kind of harsh to realize, right? I, at that time, I was working as a recruiter, so I thought that my way of giving back was simply share everything I knew regarding how to get a job or interviews or CV and, basic stuff for a recruiter, but sometimes they might be, still useful. So I started posting mostly to share these resources, jobs opportunities, this kind of stuff. And another reason was also business related because I was running the gaming division of the recruiting agency I was working at. And commercially speaking, the traditional sales approach in games they don't work that much. So I thought, okay, let me try to share what I do for a living and how we do it and our values and mission and everything. So maybe people that are interested in working with in this way, they may enjoy it. And that was the second reason. But mostly was to try to support other folks that were, going through a difficult time. And I saw that this kind of stuff was appreciated because these resources that I thought were, quite like available in reality, many people they're not aware of it because it's not their job to find a job, right? So I said, okay, let me give it a shot. And I started doing a little bit random, and then I saw that people were appreciating it. Then I said, okay, then I need to do more because people are finding it useful, and I like to look back. So that's a little bit random. Started a couple of years ago.
Okay, so around 2 years, right? Roughly.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. And are you managing your LinkedIn all by yourself, or is there like a full team behind it?
Oh, no. I do it everything by myself. Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. That's a really full-time job, right?
It is. It is. Like I would say, especially at the beginning, you don't really know what to write and what to post about with your audience, and it takes a lot of time to figure it out, and you do a lot of experiment. Right now, I would say after a couple of years, it comes a little bit natural to me. So I also like to do it, right? Like write. I always like to write. I had a diary back then. So overall, now it's not that intense as it was before, but it's a commitment. Yeah,
That's
it
great.
takes some time.
Mm-hmm. We will dive into your content strategy in a bit, but first I want to ask you this. You have 41-ish K followers on LinkedIn. And just a question to you, what does it bring to you? What is the value that you see in it?
Well, I would say definitely there is some facility to connect with other people, both from a personal perspective and a business perspective. For example, I founded this community/platform some months ago, and right now when I reach out to somebody, especially in the gaming industry, I believe that when they look at my profile, perhaps seeing all the content and stuff, is me some leverage in terms of like reply rates, and people tend to be more inclined to talk to you, right? If you have a social presence that is tangible. And plus, of course, it brought me a lot of opportunities. Honestly, inbound. Like I never chase people that people were reaching out, like, hey, we want to do this, we want to do that. Would you be interested? And they came mostly because they perhaps read a post or anything related to LinkedIn. So it's kind of a business engine for your career.
Amazing. So everything you have is inbound leads. You don't do outreach at all.
Not much. Like at the beginning of the community, when we started, like was March approx. I was doing some outreach to basically invite mentors or people that wanted to talk and give back to the juniors. And I was doing some outreach. Reply rate was very good because I'm a ex commercial person. I was an SDR, so I was doing a lot of outreach back then. And on LinkedIn now it's way less, but sometimes I do it, and it just works out quite nice. But mostly it's inbound because the posts attract people that resonate with the content, and they say, yeah, like we can cooperate or we can do some stuff together.
Okay, amazing. Like I think inbound is really the best when they reach out to you, right? It's I think everybody's found their dream to have all the inbound, requests and stuff. Though I think it's also good to combine and sometimes to be proactive, especially on LinkedIn as well. And I think it doesn't hurt to just reach out and maybe talk and then offer maybe something. Maybe it's like always an opportunity. At least that's from my perspective. I'm also quite into sales, biz dev, and etc. And for me, each time when I offer something, it's an opportunity. I don't push, I don't sell, but I just give an opportunity, and you decide like if you want to take it or not. And I think that's it. Amazing. And well, you mentioned that you got 5,000 people into your community just within 6 months. It happened this year, right?
Yeah,
How it
yeah, it was very
started?
much.
Can you tell us more about this process? For example, first of all, why you decided to build this community? Secondly, how did you approach building this community? And how fast, how it was possible to get that much people in that short time?
Yeah. So, well, everything started while I was employed as a recruiter back then, because I was not that much into the hiring side anymore because I was leading a team of four recruiters. So it was mostly, trying to get new clients or manage the business relationship with other companies, uh, which was very business oriented, this activity. And I was missing a little the talking with people part, right? So I started doing some lectures at some local universities. At the time, I was living in Prague. So I started with the Prague Business School, basically proposing myself, hey guys, do you want some other recruiter trying to support the students understanding how to get a job after the stats? And the teacher, like the professor, was like, it's free? I said, yeah, of course, I don't mind. I said, yeah, come. Awesome. So I did this lecture. It's like it was a good one. So people liked it. And then this kind of started to snowball into more universities and more projects. And in like 1 year, I spoke at like 23 universities around Europe, and it was very, very cool. And at some point, the students were starting to ask, hey, is there a place where we can connect with other people or people like us that would like to learn and try to work in games and this kind of stuff? So I was seeing that people were trying to find a common place, right, to learn and to communicate together. And this led to the idea of building this community where people could actually interact and, you know, uh, improve themselves, upskill themselves, but at the same time having like a chill place where they can connect. So this was pretty much the general idea. I had like a decent amount of following from the universities where I spoke at. And so I used Circle as a platform where we hosted the community, and we started doing this in March. In terms of how it scaled, I guess it was basically I was leveraging my LinkedIn like presence over there at first. And of course, the fact that all the content is free and is meant to help people find a job and upskill themselves, it helped because there is no, it's just a win-win, right? So we were doing this, and I was posting most of the events that we were running on LinkedIn. By definition, to attend an event, the only requirement is you to register in the community. So there was like this friction, but at the same time, it helps you because then you create an account in the platform, and you have access to all the upcoming events. And by doing this combination of posting events, talking about it, and offering free help, started to create this network event where like people were saying, "Hey, there is this community where you can do this, you can learn that, and blah blah blah. You should take a look at it." And this at the same time resonated with the content on LinkedIn, so they were boosting each other's. And I guess like free plus accessibility and continuous providing value was the secret.
The booster. Okay,
Yeah.
and then the question: what does it bring to you? This like 5,000 members community. What value you see in this one?
First, it helps me sleep better. I really enjoy try to support people because myself, I always dreamed of working in games since I was a kid because I was playing professionally Tekken and Overwatch, but it was very hard for me to land a job after the university. It took me 18 months and three relocations in Europe, like from Rome to Prague, then Dublin, then back to Prague. So it was very intense. And so knowing that I can contribute a little to help other people makes me very happy. And that's the main reason. I didn't want to monetize on job seekers in a way that like the content is paid. So I like to give it for free, everything we do. But it also brought me some opportunities as a consultant because at the moment in the past year, I was working as a consultant, mostly on the HR and go-to-market perspective for gaming startups and small medium enterprises. So people were looking at what we were doing, and they were saying, "Hey, by the way, we do have these potential problems. We need to grow, and we would like to understand how we can do it better." And the community was resonating a lot with with the gaming global community, especially in Europe. So it brought me some B2B opportunities. And another good thing is that it's a mentorship kind of community where I invited, I feel like there are 120 mentors, which is quite good. They are like very experienced folks from games. And when you build a relationship with these people because they voluntarily give back to the community, you can always ask, by the way, this is what I do for a living, trying to, make deals while which helps me making keeping everything for free. Do you think this can resonate with your current business challenges? Or there is anything that do you think we can collaborate on? And so this led me to some opportunities by keeping everything free, which is interesting. Yeah.
Amazing. So you just mentioned this, like sentence. So what do you do for a living? Just if you can explain just a little bit, what is your main revenue stream at the moment? If the community is free.
Yeah. So basically, in the past year, I've been working six stealth mode on a startup. It was an AI recruiting solution for the gaming industry. We basically have worked for the during the first months. It was mostly with my savings. I was like at some money saved, so which gave me some runway. I was also doing some little consultancy here and there, just to keep going on. But the main focus was community building, but at the same time, these AI recruiting solutions that we built. I took care of product management, understanding how to design the product, finding the technical co-founder, setting up the everything, like blah blah blah. I started selling the software. We reached 2,200 euro MMR, which is quite nice because it was bootstrapped. But at the same time, there were some like divergences between me and the founding team. And on top, it was mostly tailored for the gaming industry, this tool. But I realized how, at the moment, recruiting is not that much of an issue for gaming companies because they can leverage many, many candidates themselves. Like you post an advert, you have a lot of inbound leads. So it was like a good tool, but not at the right time, in my opinion. So I thought, okay, perhaps it's not worth, working 8 hours per week on something that doesn't really stand less. So I decided to pause this project for a while, and now I'm dedicating more on the consultancy side. So basically, helping gaming companies grow from people and business perspective. So recruiting for people and like sales strategy for like business development. These are the two main areas that I follow.
Amazing, amazing. That's really fun. And but you don't even have a donations on your community, right?
No, I don't. I am not a huge fan. I feel like it might be. like you can of course raise some money, but since I knew for a fact that this was not my main
Yes,
source of
of
income,
course.
the amount of money that you can raise from donations, I don't think is gonna be big enough to justify like having it as the main source of what you do. So I said, okay, look, let's keep everything free, and I need to find another way to survive, right? With my pasta.
But I was just thinking because I really love to monetize stuff I mentioned earlier, and just imagine like 5,000 people give you a donation of I don't know, let's say $5 or €5, and it's already 25,000. So it's so it's not too bad, not too shabby, I think, to get started. And like the beauty of this, I'm not forcing you into that in a sense, but it's just like my mind starts to actively working. Is just people actually want to support, and they like how I say it, like people vote with their bills, like they
Yeah.
like give away like because they want to, not because they are forced to. This is just, let's say, an idea that we can have in mind. But as I understood that, thanks to LinkedIn, you were also able to switch from like in being a full-time employee to your own gigs, right?
Yeah.
So,
100%.
what gave you to like the courage? Have you always thought of doing something your own, or it just happened, or maybe you saw the potential from LinkedIn? How this transition happened, and if you can elaborate something more like that, because I know a lot of people are into that, and that's actually happened to me. I was also a full-time employee. Then I saw like a potential in LinkedIn, and then I saw that I can help people on LinkedIn as well, and then I got some requests, and that's how I switched also from like being an employee to building something my own. So that happened to me, and I would like to know your story at all.
To me, what really drove me throughout all my career and even before was the aspiration of doing an activity professionally that had a social impact. That's the reason why I became a recruiter in the first place, because I really like the idea. At least it's a bit naive, but when I started, it was like, hey, if you're a recruiter and you can help people improving their professional life, you find them a job or you get them a better job, they might be happy, right? Like you improving people's life. I realize that it's not just like that. There are some also side effects, but this is another story. But the main goal, at least to me, was trying to help people out and having a positive social impact. And the more this impact, like the more people you can possibly affect, the more I will be satisfied with what I do for a living. So although of course, you can do that while you're employed, depending on what you do, I thought that I had some like I could give it a shot and trying to build something on my own that could positively affect as many people as possible. And uh, luckily, I don't have any financial commitment like a mortgage or like a kids or any kind of like incumbent financial like in currency that makes me will like to say be super safe. So I was in a period of my life where I could take some risks and I had some runway financially. So I said, you know what? This is what I really enjoy doing. I would like to impact as many people as possible, and I would like to have the freedom to do it as much as I can. My previous company, they were super nice and they always let me try stuff and like give me fuel to my creative whatever screwed up mind, but still it's different when you're on your own, right? So let's say I don't have many urgent financial commitments. I want to try to build something impactful and let's give it a shot. Like I didn't plan that much. I'm the kind of guy that's I try to figure it out on their like on during the way.
Okay. Okay, that's cool. And would you agree with the phrase that people with following base, they will never be jobless?
It's an interesting take. If you ask, is it impossible that you're gonna be jobless if you have a good following base? I would say no, it's not. I mean, there might be the chance where even like followers, it depends on how active they are and who is your target audience. In my case, for example, if you take me as an example, I try to focus mostly on young people, like students and juniors or people getting started, because these are the ones where I resonate the most. Because not many years ago, I was one of them. So they are my target audience. And let's say that I need to find a job. Of course, I have many friends who can potentially, are like in a position, they have a seniority that could potentially help out, but 80% perhaps would be junior people and they are not in a position to say, hey, yeah, this is a job for you. So it depends. But for sure, 1000%, if you're active, you have a social presence, people recognize what you do, and they understand the value of what you bring to the social media world, it helps massively right now.
That's true. That's true. And I also would say that I noticed firsthand as well when I was really deep into gaming industry that people who were more present on LinkedIn and who were like also growing their follower base and the personal brand, they could sell themselves way higher than the ones that didn't. Of
Yeah,
course, I guess
absolutely.
it depends which role you're taking. Maybe it's like if you're more technical, its value is a bit less, but still, because it's also, I think, becoming like it became already like quite a trend. There's a UGC, right? When like, your customers are creating the content. For example, people who are playing your game and they're just creating this content, posting, etc. But there's also UGCs, like employee generated content. So when, for example, your employees are active on LinkedIn. It's good for the brands. It's more trust. It's also for the potential investors. It's more interesting, and etc. So it's also gets. It adds to the equation for sure, even if it's a technical, let's say, persona.
I always recommend like trying to put yourself out. If you do it politely, there is just a win-win because like you have literally nothing to lose. It just takes time, and I'm recognizing it, but it brings opportunities. If you're looking for investments, sharing to the world why you're worth investing on, it's one of the best way to attract opportunities. If you're looking for a job right now, going with cold applications is very intense, very hard because the market is extremely saturated, so it's you have a lot of competition. Whereas if you show to the world what you're good at, perhaps somebody that needs your expertise can reach out directly, which is also kind of my strategy of doing things. Is like, hey, this is what I do, this is how I do it, these are my principles, my values, my communication skills. You can see them by the posts. So if anyone in the world needs you, they will notice you, and the only possible way is by presenting yourself. And LinkedIn is a great way to do so.
I think it's so important to not to forget to, highlight how people can work with you. So like what you do, how you can be helpful, etc. Because I see so many mistakes when of the content creator, they do a lot of content creation, like useful. It's really nice. It's really great. It's a lot of value, but they never mention that, okay, they can actually help you out as well with the consultancy, for example, or strategy and etc. And they wonder why nobody reached them out for the paid consultation, etc., because they don't tell about it. And I'm just like, come on, you just like at least highlight it, make it more possible and that you are reachable for LinkedIn, for example, like for scheduling link call for and that kind of things. So just make sure that people know how they can actually work with you, because nobody like, well, people are just in general busy enough with their own lives and etc., trying to guess how you can be useful to them. So I think this is, and putting yourself, it's super important. Doing a good job and then sharing your good job, I think that's chef kiss.
The best way.
It's simple, but yet I think a lot of people tend to forget.
Yeah. Sometimes the basics are the one that grabs you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, how do you approach your content creation, and also how it's changed through time, how you started and how it is now, how it's changed?
It started a little bit out of random. So my principle was always, if I need to post something, it has to be something that at least one person find valuable. So to me, the main core was always trying to bring value. And before posting, I was reading a post and thinking, do you think anyone, at least one person, will find this particular topic useful and like resourceful for them? If the answer was yes, I was going for it. So this is how it started. It was a bit random, and of course, I was, trying to post a little bit of everything that I thought would be valuable to people. Of course, leveraging a little my experience as a recruiter. So there were like LinkedIn is a natural place where you can share this kind of stuff, of course. And then it slowly evolved into a more slightly deeper way of approaching the content, which is now based on three main pillars, in my opinion. Like the cardigan, like the principle is always bringing value, which is translated into three different things. So right now, all the posts that I post are meant to either educate, entertain, or inspire. Like if a post can educate me on something that I didn't know, awesome. It's an interesting post, good one. It can make me smile while I am having a bad time, a bad day, and there is a post that is generally funny, brilliant. And if it's a post that can inspire me, can motivate me in trying to do something that I was not willing to do, still a good one. If you can combine them all, fantastic. So these are the three pillars that I try to respect and follow when I post. If we
Hey, sounds simple, yet that's a pretty performing one. Okay, and so also a question: what type of the posts and content perform the best on LinkedIn for you, and how did you find them? Like, what works best for you?
At the beginning, as I said, it was like trying stuff out and share everything I knew about getting a job, interviews, CV, LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn at the time was not that much about LinkedIn, but basically trying to help people find a job. And this became some kind of like specialty also when I started having a lot of conversation with other recruiters, with other hiring managers, and also asking them literally what was important for them, what would they evaluate positively in a candidate. So I spent the last 18 months speaking with literally hundreds of people that can give you a job, understanding what makes somebody interesting in their eyes. And so I try to combine their expertise with my own experiences and share them in a easy to digest formula. So the posts that have been most successful, of course, are pure resources. So, for example, one of my top performing posts is when I share places where people can find a job, right? Like maybe when I was a fresh grad, I didn't know that out of LinkedIn there were hundreds of websites where they were providing jobs, and some of them were unique. Like there are jobs that are present on Market, for example, they're not on LinkedIn and vice versa. So sharing resources is always valuable, always appreciated, and people always like it. But also sharing your expertise. So, for example, I interviewed more than I think 1,000 people throughout my career. So at some point, yeah, quite a while, right? So at some point, it's called, okay, look, this is what made me like. It made me feel like, yeah, this person is a super strong candidate. This not so much. So I knew which kind of behaviors, how to approach interview questions. I read thousand, no, maybe like hundreds of CVs. So it's like, okay, after reading so many, these are the things that makes you stand out, and these are the things that you should avoid. And so sharing this kind of stuff really helped, and people resonated with that because when you're starting, nobody teaches you how to find a job, right? Uh, Somebody can help you out on that, and it's just made out of experience. This resonated very well. It makes
It sounds amazing because first, the one type of content that you mentioned is, let's say, aggregated value, right? That you share because for others it might take so much time to put it together, to research, to find, to test it, etc. But you kind of already did a huge amount of work and you're just sharing it for free. So I think this was like some type of content that really performs well on LinkedIn and in terms of also viral posts when you ask also people for comments. Have you tried those posts, for example?
I never did it. I know that they work. I never asked for that. Usually, I try to write the posts in a way that spark up the willingness to engage with the post. So, for example, if I have an opinion which is a little bit polarizing on a topic, I try to say, "Hey, confront it or tell me what you think about it." So people naturally tend to comment. Although I never did like, "Hey, this is a guy that gave me this comment," and I would say it to you. It works. I know 100%. I never did it personally. I say like, whatever.
But also the one you mentioned just now with the controversial opinions, this one, I think it's a very great way to also get some good engagement. And I think in general, founders should not be afraid of, saying out loud some bold opinions that others might not agree. And of course, they might be haters because haters always can hate, right? But it does bring the right people to your audience as well. So I think that's also quite performing one. And in general, also, sharing maybe some insights from your behind the scenes and that kind of stuff and your experiences does perform well on LinkedIn as well. Because also in one of the podcasts that we had earlier, we talked about, I think Luke mentioned that it's really important to share the information that cannot be Googled. Like, so for example, if you just share, okay, there are like, 10 ways to find job, right? So you can go like search on the internet. Yeah, I don't know, you can do networking, you can outreach yourself. And let's say there are 10 ways that something like this, it can be Googled, right? But if you share from your experience, okay, I was running out of money and then I need a job like as soon as possible. So, and to do that, I did 1, 2, 3, 4. This worked the best. I landed a job in 2 weeks. So like, try it out yourself. So if you're sharing more from your personal experience that obviously cannot be Googled, that's performs way better. And also the third level of content is when you also share the experiences of your clients or the ones that you help your clients to achieve. Like, and also from this, the same structure, not just random information, but actual experience, step by step, actual guides, let's say.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
And also, I think LinkedIn in general is a lot about building a personal brand, right? Because it's not only a lead generation machine, as I like to say it, but it also helps like you increase the rates of the conversion because, of course, you also work on like making sure more relevant people just know you, right? So it's a followers base, it's impression, etc. But you also want them to trust you, right? So they can outreach yourself, like you and stuff. And I know that you go to conferences. You also do other activities like YouTube. There's around 1,000 plus followers on your YouTube. And I'm just curious, how do you combine all the activities? Have you thought of like a ecosystem that you are doing, or is just random? Like, what do you usually do? Like, how do you also combine offline and online, and how the structures complements each other, and what works the best for you?
Everything started progressively. Like, at first I was like just posting, and then I started attending events. I thought, and I noticed that having some in-person interaction is just the best. Like, to build any kind of relationship, nothing can, let's say, substitute the human interaction that you can have with somebody else. So joining events in person is super useful, and I recommend it all the time for your personal career. If you have a business, and like it's just the best. So I started doing them as much as I can. I was sharing my experiences from that event, which also worked. Then from YouTube, I realized how the community was enjoying these events, but it was like more on there was a layer of accessibility where people had to sign up and do stuff, while some people asked me, hey, can you do some really easy to digest content? Maybe I just like 5 minutes and I can invest into micro learning or listening to very specific stuff. So I thought, okay, look, let me give it a shot. I'm not naturally speaking a guy that is very comfortable in front of a camera, but it took me some time to just try it out. And it was not so easy. But then I launched it a couple of months ago, and the first 2 videos were very nice. Got 25K views organic.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not that bad, right? So I say, okay, let me double down on that. And right now I'm trying to combine different kind of sources, and they are complement. Because, for example, you can have an event on PlayHire, which is usually a 1 hour session with an expert, and then this content you can like chunk it into a YouTube video, and then you can chunk it even more into a reel, a TikTok, wherever, and you can extract some fields of knowledge from that and post them on LinkedIn. So out of just one piece of content, you can reinvest it into different platforms, and all of them resonates towards your name. So they all exponentially work together to increase our awareness and reach. I think that's really amazing. I'm all into repurposing the content. For me, like in our company, we also have a strategy. One piece of content, 10 publications. So you can like use it everywhere. Also the same we do with the podcasts. We record like video, audio. We do like also post on different platforms. We also do a text. We do a short. We have a long format, and so much more content that is created. All the all. And also, like, first of all, there are different people, so they prefer different type of interaction with the content. Sometimes like to read, sometimes short, sometimes long. So we just give them an infrastructure to enjoy our content as they wish for. So I think that's also important. And then also this content has a chance to also grow organically because each platform
more or less they have this, boost of organic, especially if you create a very relevant, content that people are interested in. Uh, Another question I have, just a few left. First of all, like, have you made any mistakes throughout your LinkedIn journey that you could have avoided?
Makes think of mistake, makes breath, makes not really. If we think about performance, makes we can consider a mistake trying to speak to multiple audiences. Like at first, I didn't have any kind of, and even now, it's not like a precise strategy. It's more of like I know who is my target and which kind of value I want to provide to them. So most of my posts are very like designed to help this specific amount of people. That it's very clear. But at the beginning, it was very broad. So I was trying to do stuff for everyone. And of course, if you do a little bit of everything, you cannot reach some degree of quality, right? So it was mostly not having clear the purpose and the persona that I was trying to reach with my sharings. And this, of course, led to many trials and learning posts or like situations. And another one was that I can think a very specific post where I posted a very controversial opinion where I realized I was just trying to share my stuff, but people took it a bit like personally as I was stating, as positioning myself as an ex. While in that post, I was simply reporting some stuff from there reading an article. So it was not even me, but they thought that was my opinion that was very polarizing. And so they started flaming under that post. I was like, hey guys, chill. Like it's just an article. Like I'm just sharing my thought on art. But sometimes these can go out of hand, especially when you talk about very sensitive topics like AI or job hunting. These there are like remote work. There are some topics where people are really, really sensitive of, and I guess you should be careful on how you frame what you want to say, in order to make sure that you're not gonna be like intending with a wrong message, because this will happen to me. Like my intention were good, my intentions, but then the message perhaps was not framed in a way that was easy to understand.
Yeah, it happened, yeah, to some founders. I saw that. So sometimes people don't really read much into it, and they don't sometimes are like understand the sarcasm as well. So it's might go deeply wrong sometimes. But yeah. But I really love the insight of, knowing the audience that you write for, because this is so crucial, especially if you want faster growth and attract the relevant audience that you can also, yeah, for example, monetize and stuff. Because first of all, like if you, write a content for several audience, right? It's just hard for this content to be boosted because, of course, like example, you post content, then it shows to your connection. And if, for example, it went to the wrong audience, not to the one you were intending it to, right? And you cannot control to which audience to show it. It's just not going to get as much engagement as it could have been. And also, I do think that in general, when people are more niched in what they do, they can also price themselves higher as well if they focus on a specific industry, specific audience, and etc. It's just way easier to monetize it in general as well. So I'm all in to focus on a specific audience. Know what is your audience wants as well, right? We also what we do, for example, create a content for our founders. We do think of their audience on a deeper level and what are their pains, desires, fears, needs, and etc. So, and we also work on the content around this, specific image, and it just speaks directly to them, and that's why it usually performs way better than just general information, let's say.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like I've been consulting with some companies, and when I consult, is mostly on two things. One is recruiting and HR strategy in terms of like hirings. That's my cup of tea. And the second one is like growth, like mostly not, it's not like sales and outbound, is most like how can I attract more business towards what I'm building. And for example, in case of games, like how do I create more wish lists, or how do I make sure that more people know about my game, or how do I attract investors? And posting, it's one of the best things that you can do on LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok. And one of the things that I try to insist the most is like, before even think about posting, you need to identify extremely clearly who is your target audience and what do you want to communicate to them. That's absolutely fundamental to make sure that what you're writing reach out the people you want to actually have business. Because, from a business perspective, that's what content is meant.
Yeah, that's so true. If you can give out one piece of advice to the content creators that are just starting off on LinkedIn, what would it be?
Makes to me, it's very simple. It's just start, because I know it, like, the hardest part of doing everything in your life is going from 0 to 1. And then once you're like going from 1 to 10, perhaps potentially could be easier than going from 0 to 1. Because people think about what they're going to think about me. What if my posts are good enough? What if people will think that I'm cringe or I'm like whatever? Reality check, most of the people, especially at the beginning when nobody knows you, they don't really care. And this gives you a leverage because you can experiment, you can try stuff, you can see what you like writing about. So the most thing is like, don't think too much on the what, just try, and you will learn along the way what works and what not. But it doesn't position you as a like somebody is not worth following or whatever, simply because you're getting started. Everything you start by definition will be improved by doing. And the best way, in my opinion, is always do stuff, and you will see by yourself how it can be better. Don't plan too much, just do.
That's really wise words, and I'm 100% on that. And just to give you guys an extra motivation, I'll just share a little bits of stats. If, for example, a few years ago, let's say 2-3 years ago, there were only 1% of audience of 1 billion people regularly active on LinkedIn, like, at least posting once a week, let's say, only 1% out of 1 billion. Now, in the beginning of the year, already 8.9% of users actively posting on LinkedIn. And even it's only maybe half a year or more past, it's already increased to 9.6%. It's notably higher, and it's becoming, increasing a lot. And I see a lot of promotion of LinkedIn, or even on Instagram and Reels. They're saying like, oh, LinkedIn right now is like Reels in 2020. So everybody who will hop on right now and start being the influence will win in the long run, and etc. So I do think it's a really great time to get it started finally and think less and do more.
Absolutely, 100%, 100%. Just give it a shot, and it's free. Like, that's specifically in my case for job seekers. Like, something that I would always recommend to anyone looking for a job is like, put yourself out there, because you need to let other people know what you're good at or what you could be possible to do good at. So there is no cringe in just sharing stuff. So
Exactly.
give it a shot.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much for joining us today and sharing your path to 41,000 followers, and wishing you luck and get more. Woo!
Thank you so much. Thank you, Renata. I'm wishing you the best with the podcast. It was super nice. And yeah, see you again.